Well, hello, grievers. Mandy here. Restorative grief is all about creating easy access to healing, no matter where or who you are. That's why I want you to remember that if you want grief support beyond a podcast, our Patreon features monthly workbooks to accompany each episode, as well as a Discord channel for more private chats and occasional bonus content as well. Supporting this work with your finances means investing in your own wellness and the healing of others, and that in itself is an incredibly generous and restorative practice. The link to the Patreon is in the show notes, but reach out with questions, okay? Now, let's get on to this week's episode. Welcome back to Restorative Grief with Mandy Capehart. You are listening to episode 140, titled Happy Hormone Hacks to Help You Heal. Serotonin and dopamine. For most of us, these are familiar words with somewhat unfamiliar functions. And you can read all the pop psychology articles you want about these two neurotransmitters, but today we're just going to normalize how these fluctuating brain chemicals can support an ongoing sensation of happiness while we grieve. For more support on how this conversation can help you, visit mandykapehart.com/Patreon for the workbook for this week's episode. Okay, I'll admit it. You can't really hack your hormones in the way you might think. If we could control the busy, necessary hormones in our bodies, I suspect many of our ailments would disappear rather quickly. We can, however, influence our hormones and our brains in such a way that we experience less of the spectrum swing that creates tension and brain fog in our grief work. Research tells us that when we are grieving, changes occur in the brain that impact the messengers sent to the different systems in our bodies. When we feel fatigue, brain fog, nausea, lack of appetite, lack of sleep, lack of concern for our well being, we don't need to immediately panic. All of these symptoms are typical in grievers and tend to fluctuate also on a spectrum. And yet, while we are dealing with these difficult symptoms of grief, we can send additional messages to the brain that help stabilize the flow and fluctuations of these so-called happiness hormones. It is true that we can pursue happiness at the same time we are doing our grief work without resorting to minimizing or bypassing our pain. It is essential to recognize that fluctuations in dopamine and serotonin levels are normal, especially during emotionally challenging times like grief. So rather than striving for constant happiness, embracing the full spectrum of emotions can lead to a more authentic and sustainable well-being. Understanding that it is natural for these neurotransmitter levels to vary will help reduce our self-judgment and promote a healthier acceptance of our emotional state. Before we go any further, let's recall that we reduce self-judgment in order to remain holistically aligned within ourselves and with our values. That means we consider our thoughts, our emotions, our physical sensations, and our sense of connectedness or openness to the world around us as important and expected to shift. While these parts of our whole are interplaying for our wellness and to protect the state we most want to inhabit, we must learn to build up our own window of tolerance for the fluctuations. We know the range of emotions that arise in grief is vast, from numbness to rage, sadness to relief. This is a highly individualized experience, but we can also reliably predict how certain neurochemical changes will occur. Dopamine and serotonin levels, for example, are known for their roles in managing mood, energy, and behavior, and they can fluctuate with a greater range of change in grievers. A handful of studies on the impact of prolonged grief on dopamine or serotonin levels in individuals underscore what we could have probably predicted. Disrupted serotonin activity and dopamine dysfunction are positively correlated with higher rates of depression, anxiety, sadness, and a lack of inner motivation. So now that we have named what we already knew through our lived experience, how can we take this affirmed knowledge and move towards hacking our happiness? First, we pause. We honor where we've been and where we've come from. The body you're in, the brain you're using right now, they've been through a lot. They are with you, but they are weary. Noticing the pain you've carried and connecting some of the dots as to why the pain is lasting may help remove some of your shame and guilt and self-judgment. You are not to blame if you feel like you're still grieving, because it's not just a mindset change that will heal you. However, there are ways we can partner with our brain and body and begin to think differently about how to support neurotransmitter production and regulation without chemical interference. So, while we cannot control the fluctuations of dopamine and serotonin, we can influence their activity through lifestyle choices and mindfulness practices. Here are 7 strategies proven to enhance the positive impact of dopamine and serotonin during seasons of grief that you can try the next time you notice your energy or your mood is remaining in a lower state. Number 1, exercise. Physical activity, particularly aerobic exercise, boosts both dopamine and serotonin levels. Regular exercise can improve mood, reduce stress, and increase our overall well being, but it doesn't need to be a 75-minute session of dripping in sweat to make an impact. Simply aim to raise your baseline heart rate for about 30 minutes a day at minimum. Number 2, nutrition. Your diet plays a significant role in neurotransmitter production. Foods rich in tryptophan, which is a precursor to serotonin production, like turkey and nuts and seeds, and those that boost dopamine production, like bananas and avocados, can support your emotional health. Remember the last time you felt hangry? That's what it's talking about. Foods with higher protein levels and a balance of complex carbohydrates will also help you feel fuller longer and improve your overall mood. Number 3, one of my favorites, sunlight exposure. Sunlight can increase serotonin levels naturally. So, spending time outdoors, especially in the early morning, can enhance your mood and regulate your sleep patterns and help you feel more awake without caffeine. Just remember your sunscreen, please. Number 4 is mindfulness and meditation. Practices like mindfulness and meditation can help regulate stress and improve our emotional resilience. These techniques have been shown to increase both dopamine and serotonin levels. And again, we're not looking for a 75-minute session of ohms and I am the changes. We want to start small and build steady, sustainable habits. So begin with something that feels safe and inviting to you. Number 5 is social connections. Maintaining strong social ties can boost your serotonin levels and foster a sense of belonging and support. Sharing feelings with trusted friends or family members can be particularly beneficial during grief, but we all know this is a tough spot to pursue when you're hurting. I'm a big fan of making up a secret code with your friends or family because sometimes putting the words together and asking for connection is too challenging, but sending a single emoji, that's like raising the bat signal and trusting Batman will arrive just in time. So let your friends and family build that super response on your behalf and notice how it makes you feel. Number 6 is adequate sleep. Sleep is crucial for neurotransmitter regulation. Ensuring sufficient and quality sleep can help maintain balanced serotonin and dopamine levels as well. And yes, all of the above can also improve your sleepy time struggles. But grief disrupts our dreams because we tend to minimize or hide our big feelings and needs during the daytime. So, when else will our brain be able to try and make sense of all our painful experiences? Experiment with the earlier strategies we've talked about to build a healthier bedtime routine and just notice if you see a change in your sleep or if your insomnia improves. And last, number 7, creative activities. Engaging in creative activities such as painting, writing, or playing music can stimulate dopamine release and provide a sense of accomplishment and joy. You don't have to TikTok scroll to get that dopamine burst that you're always looking for, and it's not going to come in the source of more likes and shares on Instagram. Taking any kind of creative action when you are grieving or just feeling stuck in your story can bring that playful, childlike side of you to the surface. Although we wouldn't assume it, kids and those with a playful, childlike demeanor are able to navigate grief with more honesty and acceptance of the uncertainties in life. So, leaning into our younger selves and trusting the younger part to be creative is a great way to naturally encourage dopamine and serotonin release. The interplay between dopamine, serotonin, and our emotional well being is complex yet profoundly influential. In the context of grief, these neurotransmitters help shape our experience of loss and well being. By becoming more aware of their roles and embracing healthy lifestyle practices, we can support our neurochemical balance and navigate our grief stories with greater resilience. Because remember, resilience is a set of learned skills. This approach encourages a holistic view of happiness, one that honors the ebb and flow of our emotions and fosters a deeper connection to ourselves and others as we heal. Thank you for listening to episode 140 of Restorative Grief. I always smile when a conversation about hacks or happiness comes up because it allows me to invite you back into reality. There is no hack or quick fix for your grief. And yet, we can build healthier habits and play the long game, trusting our holistic selves to stay present in the work and affect lasting growth. Understanding how these neurotransmitters function, especially in the context of a healthy grief process, can help us navigate emotional turbulence with greater awareness and resilience. If this is your first time listening to the show, thank you for coming around. I hope this conversation can help you redefine what happiness means for you and inspires you to try something new to support your mental health and healing journey. Check out the show notes for more info about restorative grief coaching and the Patreon bonuses available. And please remember to subscribe to the show, drop me a 5-star review, and share this episode on your socials because you never know when that one friend needs a reminder that slow and steady are the perfect pace for grief work. And speaking of, before we go, one last thing. Please remember, the only solution for grief is to do the work of grieving. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next week.